Whether you're looking for peace and quiet or valuable resources, Tyria's fish will never be safe from you again.
All right, let's get into it.
Hi Tyria, and welcome to Guild Chat. I'm your host Ruby. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm super excited about today's show because I know a lot of you have had questions about how skiffs and fishing work, and we are here today to show you answers to hopefully all of those questions, if not most of them. With me in the studio today is Nick Hernandez. Hey Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick Hernandez. Nice to meet you, everybody.
And joining me in game are our senior environment artist Tracy West, game designer John Hargrove, and senior gameplay engineer Paul Quinn. So thank you all three for joining us in game to help us with skiffs and fishing today. We're going to jump right in after two quick things before we get started. End of Dragons is a work in progress. You know it's not done. We're still working on it. We are playing in a development environment today. So you're going to see things like temporary text and placeholder icons and placeholder NPCs here and there. Just pardon our dust. We're working to make End of Dragons awesome for you. And also, there are still a lot of things that we don't want to spoil for you. So we are going to be hiding a few things from you here and there. If it looks like we're hiding something, that's because we are. But we have some more surprises to share with you down the line.
It's on purpose.
It's on purpose. We're crafty like that.
Yeah, actually, something additional that I'd like to note is that in a lot of the promotional material that we've been having recently, you know, a lot of it's been based around Xingjie, and we're actually getting to kind of exist in that space. A little bit of that space, at least, you know, very, very tiny portion. So yeah, you know, it's just really neat to be able to play around in it.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that. Mark, we might be having some audio issues.
From me?
No, just John is letting me know. So I'm going to have, Mark is looking into that while we get started fishing. Nick, why don't you start us off with how you begin fishing, how you get your first fishing gear, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, very similar to the way you get raptors within Path of Fire. Within this expansion, we wanted to have fishing be something that you could unlock pretty much right off the bat. So as you progress through the initial parts of the story within the first chapter, at some point, once you've completed specific instances, you're going to just be able to unlock fishing right off the bat. And it'll allow you to, you know, it'll reward you with your first fishing rod, you know, and starting like lure as an example, to make sure you can just go out into the world and start whenever you want, just toss it in there and get to fishing. I think that, you know, they're of course going to be like the base level ones, but something to note is that with fishing rods specifically, they do not have any durability, which is different to other kind of resource node gathering tools that you would see within the game, like the mining picks or the sickle. So with fishing rods specifically, the fishing rod will not break. We do have charges for the lures and the bait, but that's because they have different tiers and things like that, which we'll see a little bit later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we first, let's go through the fishing mastery line so you all can see what the fishing masteries are, and you'll have a little bit of context for what we talk about as we're fishing. The first one in the fishing mastery line that you're going to unlock is Fishing Hole Master, and that gives you faster catches and triple XP at fishing holes.
Oh.
The second one is Angler Sense, which gives you which unlocks a skill that detects nearby fishing holes. I'm going to show you on my map. This detects nearby fishing holes and lights them up on the map so you can find where the fishing holes are. And you can see that right down here in front of Nick. There are shorefish, 471 away. The third one is Fishing on a Full Tank. This gives you plus 50 fishing power if you are nourished. Fishing power is a new stat that is going to come in with this mastery line that grants a higher chance of catching rare fish and makes fishing a little easier in difficult regions. So the fourth one is Master Caster. That increases your maximum fishing range. And the final one is Local Legend. Fishmongers and fishing merchants in Cantha will give you exclusive selections. With that said, let's go fishing. Fishing nodes like this one that we are standing in front of now have the best chance of giving good rewards and the highest rarity fish. You can fish anywhere in the game world that there is water, though. Fishing is not only in End of Dragons, it's going to be throughout the game world, and that means also in the water in your guild halls. Let's get started. Nick, why don't you run us through how to fish?
For sure. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, very similar to other areas. You want to make sure that you can equip things like your rod and your lures and your bait, and you can just do that right from your inventory. But the way that you actually access your rod is a bit different. So, we introduced the novelties button. I'm like trying to figure out what the right name is for it, but button. On the bottom right under the mount selection, but now we have another button under the swap weapon select that is specifically for fishing and summoning your skiff. So what happens is when you click on the start fishing one, it'll actually give you your fishing rod and give you the ability to utilize skills. In this case right now we have cast line and as Ruby mentioned before, we have the angler sense on your fishing rod. Whenever you choose to cast line, it will give you this little bobber that you'll see, and it just kind of shows you where you'll be able to put it. As you can see, on terrain, you won't be able to put it, so it turns red, and in the water, it will turn the appropriate color blue. Once you actually put it out there, it will do a quick animation, and what you'll see is that the bob will show up. As you can see, mine over here, it's currently sitting there, and whenever it splashes with the water ripples, that's when you know that there is a fish on the line. So I'm going to wait for mine, and then you click on one, and what happens is that then this UI appears where there is a bar that fills up to success. There is this yellow thing called the sweet spot, and then this little green thing we call the fish marker. So what happens is you can use your 2 and 3 buttons to keep the sweet spot on the fish marker, and what happens is as you continue to keep doing that, it will build up this bottom bar, which is your success bar. And then once that has filled up completely,
oh, that's not bad.
That you will get the fish.
That's actually a pretty cool way to do it.
In fishing, and that's pretty much the overarching way of being able to do it. Just as other crafting things, within this
Like
game,
Stardew Valley.
Is
that how that is?
You will actually be able
that
to
game?
Use them as crafting reagents and things like that, and materials. So what happens is whenever you click on the fish after you've caught it, you will fillet the fish, and you will get crafting materials that you can use to cook, and also like trade into fishing NPCs and things like that.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling over here.
No, you're good. It can be a little tricky sometimes. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? You've got your fishing mini game, and then you've got the ability to actually do things with the fish once you've caught them.
Oh, yeah, actually a challenge is never automatic. Yeah, I like that.
Fish are also part of collections. There are fishing collections all around the world. These are repeatable collections. The first time you finish one of the fishing collection, it will give you achievement points and another reward that we're not going to tell you about quite yet. And then subsequent completions will give you more of that reward. You'll find out eventually. It's not just that we're never going to tell you. I do have a couple of fishing collections to share with you as a little preview today. Xing Jie Fisher is one of obviously the first ones that we will come to. And I wanted to share Shiver Peaks Fisher is another one that's available. I kind of like this one because somebody, John, got a little punny with it. So you have fish in there like Lornar's bass and Beacon's perch. Those are.
I like that.
I just like puns. They're dumb and I love them.
That's a good pun.
Yeah. So we've been fishing from shore here, and I think I have fished this node out while you were talking, but that is not the only way to do it. You can also fish from your skiff. So let's talk about that. Nick, do you want to walk us through how you get your first skiff?
For sure. Contrary to how you get fishing, with the skiffs themselves, it's more like how you would get other mounts within Path of Fire, like the skimmer or the jackal. They had hearts that you would utilize the jackal or the skimmer in, like runtable versions. And once you've completed it, you would have the ability to unlock the skimmer or the jackal. With this expansion, you do the exact same thing with skiffs. So there is a heart specifically within Xingje that once you enter and complete the heart, you will gain access to your own skiff. Then you can utilize across the board. Something to note though is that we are not showing that heart today because of the fact that it does have narrative tie-ins, and we want to make sure that we don't spoil those things for you all. Yeah.
All right, so once you have your skiff, you can summon it one of two ways. We're going to show you. The first one is from shore, and this one is kind of fun because you can set the direction of how and where you want your skiff to be pointing when you get it in the water. And you can just see as I'm turning it, you have the directional arrows showing you. So once you have it where you want it, I don't want to run over Nick.
It's okay, I'm backing up.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
It's all good.
You also don't want to drop a boat on your friend's head. It's not going to hurt them, but it is kind of rude. So I'm going to try to avoid that. So once
Or it
you've
could
got
bug
that
the game.
set, drop it in the water. And one quick thing, this is the Xingje Dragon Boat Skiff skin. If you have pre-purchased the deluxe or ultimate editions of End of Dragons, this is what you're getting. It's a little different than the picture because I played fun with dye. You can also summon it from the water wherever you are, and Nick is going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's not as pretty as yours, but I think it has some charm.
I
honestly.
kind of love it. John was talking earlier about how he made his look like it was covered in algae by the dye that he used. So I like the variety. I'm having fun with my big aqua-colored theme boat. All right, so let's go through the Skiff masteries real quick. So again, you have context and you know what all you're going to be unlocking and you understand what you're looking at when we go through this. First one that you will unlock for Skiffs is Full Throttle. This gives you the ability to go faster in your skiff. Next one is Depth Charges, which is the one that I super like. If you are just trying to get somewhere, enemies approach, you can drop a depth charge and sink them to get them out of the way. Speed Boost gives you a short burst of speed. Fishing Party is cool. While you're on your skiff, you and your party receive additional fishing power equal to the number of catches from fishing nodes that you make. And finally, the last one is Reinforced Hull. This gives plus 5,000 HP to your skiff. Somebody has called target on me, and I'm very afraid.
Boat racing.
Let's all hop into
Boat
the skiff.
racing.
I am the captain.
You are the captain.
I ran us aground earlier, so this should be interesting. Let's go over more details and do some fishing. Nick, why don't you walk us through what else is going on here? Everybody is very excited with me behind the wheel again.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, what you're seeing right now is that our entire party is on the skiff. With these skiffs, the max amount of individuals that you can actually have on them is going to be 5, which is your entire party size, and that is including the driver. What you'll probably notice, though, from my perspective, is that there's this giant rainbow of different icons here. The reason for that is that anybody who is a passenger in the boat actually has the ability to have different emotes that they can use as they're going through. And that's just that way, people have the ability to do some fun stuff while they're sitting on the boat being driven around. But there is also a functional reason for it as well, which is the turbo mastery that Ruby had mentioned earlier, where it's basically like a nitrous boost for your skiff. Whenever your party members utilize those emote skills, what it does is it completely refills the stamina bar that gets utilized with that, which means that you can just keep on pumping the turbo boost as much as you want.
If we want to look at mine just real quick, we can show what that looks like.
Yeah.
All right, turbo. I need people to emote.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, as Ruby mentioned, these icons are not these icons are not final, because I know that they look very similar right now compared to on your bar versus my bar, but they all are different skills.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. We can also, so what I'm going to do real quick is I'm actually going to dismount and be left to drown.
No.
And the reason for that is so that way, if what we can showcase is that players actually have the ability to swap seats whenever there's one that's open. If there are no open seats, you won't be able to swap around. But when there is an open seat, you can kind of move around to for people who want to sit in the front, want to sit in the back, etc., etc. Another thing that is really interesting about Skiffs specifically is that you actually have the ability to anchor your skiff, which is something that's a bit newer with this expansion, because what that does is it actually generates party-specific collision within any part of the world. And what that means is that when the owner anchors their skiff, players can actually run around on it like it's just a normal platform. What's also really cool about this is that it's a bit troll-proof in that sense, because like if there's anybody that's not in your party, they don't have the ability to like hop onto the boat. They don't have the ability to run their boats into yours, etc., etc. But there's also like some other functional reasoning for why we have it based around your party, and that's has to do with the tie-in to fishing more specifically.
So you can't really get trolled.
So we wanted to kind of blend
That's
the
a
two,
good way to do it.
features together and as best as we could. And the way that we did that was by having fishing parties, right? So once your skiff is anchored, you have the ability to fish off of the sides. And whenever somebody successfully fishes from a node, they will get a buff called Fish Party, if I'm not mistaken.
I am fishing right now to try to get that up and running. So
yeah, I will.
If I can stop struggling with my fishing pole long enough, we can.
I'm sure that one of us will succeed.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yay! I got it.
Okay,
All
so
right.
as you can see on the bottom right, it's called Fishing Party, and basically the way that Fishing Party works is that it increases the fishing power that you have per stack of the buff, and it's like a 3x multiplier. So for each one, I think it's like multiplying whatever your base value was by 3. And currently, the max stack size is like 99 stacks. So you and your party can just like go from node to node, get up a huge amount, and just be absolute fishing legends, which is pretty fantastic. I think another thing to note actually from this is that if you look, so this one's called Shorefish, and there's a Shorefish node. And that's because like we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just specifically you had to fish from skiffs. So like you just saw me cheat a little bit there, but there are some nodes like shorefish nodes which you can fish from without needing to utilize your skiff. You can just go to wherever there is land, wherever there is a thing, and then toss the line into there. There are also offshore nodes, and those ones specifically are going to need you to utilize your skiff because of the fact that they're just like in the middle of the ocean, right, in the middle of deep water. What's also really interesting about those things is the fact that each one has different kinds of fish that you can catch from it. So the shore nodes have different, fish that you can acquire than the offshore nodes. And what that allows for is just a bit more diversity in each area.
Sorry, I was like, hey, let's have a boat race. And
okay.
I'm sorry, I've gone completely off script, but whatever.
So something else to note is that if you can be a little trolly with your friends because so Tracy just parked her boat, and because it's party-specific collision, if Ruby tries to drive into her boat, what happens is that
I can't.
It runs into it, right? So you do have the ability to be a little goofy with your friends, right? And if they're going like full turbo speed, you can, if you're in the same party, just quickly park yours in front of them and then have them crash or ramp up off of it.
Oh, I love it.
And it allows for some
I
really
love this.
interesting,
It's actually very nice.
experiences.
Just your friends that you partied with.
Yeah, I think, yeah, but just your friends that you're partied with. I think that's pretty much it for all of the extra details for now, though.
Oh,
think
just
I got it
imagine
all.
all the broken
Did we
boats.
talk about when you raise the anchor, everybody has to sit down because
Oh,
safety?
we did not, yeah. So with this specifically, because of the fact that you have a party and you're trying to keep them all within a specific boat, we wanted to try to remove as many edge case situations and edge case bugs as possible. So because of that, once the boat gets unanchored, it checks to see how many players are within the area that are part of the party, and then it sits them down, right? It's just like, everybody, sit down. We're driving. We're moving.
Hands and arms inside the boat.
Yeah.
Seatbelts.
Safety first.
All right, I do want to call out one just little thing on mine, and you can see on my screen, Mark, if we can look at mine, there is a cool little animation deal. Let me turn my boat around. Where if you turn, my character is pulling the rudder and she's leaning, and it's just a fun little animation thing that I appreciate you all on the dev team thought about. All right, I think we have fished that node out. I'm just checking to see if there's another one nearby.
What you could do is you could use the mastery skill.
The angler sense. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
the
was
angler
doing.
sense.
Don't look at my screen right now because
because
Doing
possible,
things.
possible
Hey,
things.
all right. I found another fishing node, and I'm gonna go there.
What's really cool though is that with AnglerSense, I think John wanted us to also mention this as well, is that it's kind of, I think, if I remember correctly, one of the first masteries that actually has that skill show up in multiple areas. You can use it while you have your fishing rod out, but you can also use it from the skiff itself. So there's a bit of dual usage there whenever you have it unlocked. But AnglerSense, I think specifically, you only need to unlock it from the fishing line, and then you'll get that skill in both areas.
No, I lost it. All right, so that is the basics of skiffs and fishing. I am excited to see everybody's party boats and how they're tooling around, emoting, and how people use fishing and skiffs. Make your skiff races. I want to see. I'm just watching to see what Nick's doing.
Yeah, actually, if we want to showcase this is real quick as
Are
well.
they gonna race?
So what's really interesting as well is that if we all anchor our skiffs, why does it say I'm moving? Oh, it's because I'm too close to Tracy. 1 second. Or am I too close to you?
I don't know, but
Stop moving.
They're gonna race. Chat, they're gonna race.
Anchor a boat
we have like the
moving.
dance party boat over here in Tracy's.
I'm not moving. Okay, so as Ruby mentioned, development branch, some stuff happens.
It's very true.
There we go. Okay, so like what's really cool is that you could basically like in maps build bridges, barges, right? You can like we can put all of our
that's right.
boats right next to each other and like have like a little boat barge party. In fact, let me actually try to see if I can get mine in the middle of y'all's.
Okay.
Thread the needle, as they say. I'm actually. Did we talk about the different speeds as well? I think that it was probably mentioned within the mastery area.
We did within the mastery area, but there's a little more to it. So why don't we look at yours and you can show them off on yours.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm actually, but as seen, like you can park all the boats next to each other, run across them. Like you can create these party-specific platforms. It's really interesting. But what's really cool,
Going for a ride.
come on. Yeah, is that there are 3 speed settings, and the third one gets unlocked with the mastery line. But you've got, you've got your slow cruise, and you've got your moderate clip, which increases the speed a little bit.
Ooh, look at that
right?
drift.
And then you've got your like full throttle. And
Boat
full throttle is just
racing
like,
is
hey,
enabled.
We're
I'm gonna have my
we're
tournament.
going fast. We're zooming, as they say, right? And then of course you can utilize your turbo boost, and it just turns into like some dynamic control.
I'm over here like
Reflection is
cheering
really good. Like that is
to keep
very
your energy
beautiful.
bar full.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can like, so like as you see, Ruby is using her emotes, and it's just emote.
Yeah, with multiple party members, you can chain emote just for an endless turbo boost.
Mm-hmm. And it's all a grand time, honestly.
All right, so that, okay, still not as bad as what I did earlier. I just like tried to drive right up onto an island before.
Toggle anchor.
All right, so I think that covers fishing skiffs, how you get them, all of the mastery lines, all of the abilities, where you can fish, fishing collections, all that good stuff. I hope that answered a lot of your questions. We are excited to see what all you do with these new features in End of Dragons. That's your rundown of fishing and skiffs in Guild Chat. Thank you, Nick, for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Paul, John, and Tracy for joining us in game. And thanks to all of you for watching today. Before we go, I have a couple of other things. Do not forget that we still have more things coming in September. The DirectX 11 beta begins on September 21st, and the first WvW Alliance beta starts on September 24th. Also on September 21st is the start of the second End of Dragons Elite Specialization beta event. As before, the event is open to all of you with an account, with a Guild Wars 2 account in good standing. And join us right here next Friday on the 17th on Guild Chat for a preview of that Elite Specialization beta event. For now, we'll leave you with a little preview, and I will see you next week on the 17th.
Have a nice weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Why they gotta do that? Oh, I love to see it. Chat, I've actually, I like it. You know, I'm not a fan of fishing in games, but they managed to incorporate that very well, I have to say. Like, that you actually have to kind of, have like a mini game while you're fishing. So you're not just idle and you're just catching fish. You actually kind of play a little bit. the mechanics of the boat are very well done too. I like that. You have like a very good way to drift and kind of like also maintain top speed at almost all times if you have like your party members cheering, emotes. So it's not like you just one driver and everyone just gotta wait for the driver. You actually can have a way to boost the speed of the boat if more people in the party are like kind of active, and that kind of takes away that boredom where you're just like, oh, okay, cheering, fun, whatever, right? So the more you do it, the more it increases speed. I like that. That's a very good addition. The game looks beautiful. I mean, those reflections, yeah, Kiko, very nice reflections. Hey, T, thanks so much for the tier 1 subscribing for 18 months, a year, and then some. Love to see it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Look at that. A year and a half, actually. Yeah, I think I was not as interested as I was before the stream went up, but now the fishing part has kind of been okay. Like, I think that's a very nice way of doing it. Mini game while you're fishing, so you're not just, you know, idle animation AFK. You actually have to play to fish. You can't just AFK doing it. I like that. The boat is nice. The most important thing is that like the boat racing tournaments are alive. All right, we're going to have a boat racing tournament, and I actually want to plan to do one at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks right after the expansion releases. So animations of the boats are very well done. Reflection is wow, like that water is really beautiful. Love to see it. I like that the fishing is almost instantaneously available, like in the story of the game. Like just like raptors, it's the first thing that you unlock, the fishing. I wonder where you'll start unlocking boats, the skiffs basically. So that might be like a little later, like they said, like over time you'll start unlocking these other masteries. So it's good that you have fishing access almost immediately, and they confirmed that yeah, you are fishing. I think they confirmed it before, but they've now reconfirmed it that you can fish in any part of Tyria that has water. So it's not limited to End of Dragons. You can kind of fish everywhere. So there you have it. Seems like the boat sits in the water better than it did in the trailer. I think that's because like they have like, you know, maybe improved the gameplay, or, you know, getting live action. The trailer might have been like done a while before that. So yeah, it could be in any body of water, and the way that you place the boat is like similar to how you place the decoration. So very simple tool. Like it's good that they actually just used like a system that they already have with decos, so they didn't really need to do something extra over that. So but yeah, there's only collision with your fishing party if they are anchored. So that means like if I kind of actually wanted to see them do something where like someone who wasn't in your party, like, so you just go through each other's boats or something. I feel like it would have just maybe something that they missed out on is like just showing us what does it look like without like someone in your party with their boat, what happens. But that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, it keeps the trolling to only the people you know. I like that, so that like you can't potentially get trolled in the game. I like that. Like party trolling is fine. Like almost everyone like has fun with that stuff. So it'll be just like mounts. Yeah, fair enough. All right, well that's good. Excited to see how this goes. The Guild Wars 2 team on September 10th, 2021. Zoom in on here. Ooh, look at those pictures. Oh, I love that. All right, enough of that. Hi all, mark your calendars. The first week-long beta event for the WvW World Restructuring feature will take place from September 24th to October 1st. Ooh, I love to see that. Today, we're here to outline development and beta testing plans for World Restructuring and talk about the future of the World vs. World game mode. We'll start by describing the overall vision for the feature and then describe the functionality that will be introduced in the first 2 rollout phases. World Restructuring, an overview. So, World Restructuring is a feature that aims to address player population imbalances and create great matches. It achieves this by deprecating the current concept of shards, aka world servers, and introducing a matchmaking system to the game mode where players guilds, and alliances, player-managed groups of guilds, are automatically or are programmatically redistributed to new teams, previously known as shards, on a set schedule. This gives us more flexibility and granularity when creating new teams, and it helps address natural fluctuations in population over time. So this is not new. This is basically what the original blog post talked about 3 or 4 years ago, about how they're gonna take players, guilds, and then alliances and combine the world out of those by trying to, combine the proper population together to get like a fair matchup between different places. So this was already old news. It will also give players more agency in choosing who they want to play with on an ongoing basis, and allows long-standing communities to continue playing together. Again, this was the feature of all of this, what it was meant to be. Let's see. So I think this is just more, the overview, kind of just summarizing the previous stuff. All right, so matchmaking. When teams are destroyed and recreated, it occurs at the beginning of each season. The term season in the context of WvW describes the period of time between each matchmaking event. The length of a season is not yet finalized, but could be up to 8 weeks long. So currently the way we have it is like every transfer or every relinking phase is 8 weeks. I meant to say 8 weeks, not 8 months. Could be up to 8 weeks. That's the current system. 8 weeks is how long it takes. 2 months is how long it takes for a matchmaking relinking phase. A season, I guess, will be more in line with like if you're stuck with this alliance, or if you're representing this alliance and then they have like this set of guilds in your server plus this set of players in your server and maybe another alliance on your server, you'll be together for 8 weeks. So it's kind of like more structured and in line than compared to relinking, where you could still really get away with each other and transferring. So before a season begins, players can select which of their current guilds, and by extension the alliance, they'd like to play with for that season. Once matchmaking occurs, any changes to a player's selected guild will not take effect until the next season. So you're basically set in stone with the people that you play with for 8 weeks. While the composition of each team is static during a season, you'll be matched up against different opponents each week using the existing one-up, one-down match-up system. So what I get is you're locked up with your alliance in that specific world that's created each matchup season, and you're with them for 8 weeks. And in those 8 weeks, obviously, you could still go up and down against other different, created servers and everything. But only after 8 weeks can you actually change to something else, which is good. This was basically the imbalance people talked about, is like during a matchup or during a relinking phase, a server could get stacked all of a sudden, and then like the rest of the relink phase is just not fun. So this addresses that. Active WvW players that have not selected a WvW guild before the start of the season will be automatically match made onto a team. New players or players that were inactive for an extended period before the start of a season will not be automatically placed, but will have the option to choose which team they'd like to join. I'd like to know what compromises a inactive period, right? What is that period? Is it like a month, 2 months, 3 months, a couple of weeks? I'd like to know what that number is going to be. Teams will be locked or full once they've reached the population cap, like the current system. Matchmaking will initially use factors such as WvW participation and playtime to place players, guilds, and alliances on teams, but we're open to adding additional variables to matchmaking, example, the time zone, once we've ironed out the initial kinks with this system, which is good. I think this will help with population balance. And of course, people on the OCX side could definitely use help with being placed in a proper matchup that has activity on that time zone, right? Where it's like no one else is playing except them. And so I think that will be important. That's a very good factor that they've taken into account. So the functionality detailed above will be rolled out on multiple phases, each with its own set of beta tests. So here is World Restructuring Phase 1. Phase 1 of World Restructuring includes a substantial backend overhaul of how World vs. World works, but most of this is invisible to the player. On the player-facing side of things, it will be featuring matchmaking support for ungilded players and guilds. Okay, Alliance functionality will come in phase 2. The goal of this first phase is to ensure that the system works at scale, and we'll be keeping an eye on player population balance, queue times, and victory point disparity. I actually like this. This is kind of like the initial kink before the main update itself. So I think this is kind of fleshing out the system without the actual functionality of alliances, so that they can tweak it to match the actual system that it's meant to represent. This is okay. This is good. So, on September 21st, a new tab for the world restructuring feature will become available in the in-game world vs. world menu. On this tab, you'll be able to choose which of your guilds you'll want to play with during the world restructuring beta event. Please choose your WvW guild before 11 p.m. Pacific time on September 23rd, or you may be match made onto a team as an individual player. So okay, that'll make sense. Okay, when is that though? Okay, so it's on the same day as September 21st, so you'll have like a full day to make sure you catch up on this. The beta event will match up, the beta event matchup will begin at WvW Reset on September 24th. A WvW bonus experience event will be active between that matchup from September 21st until October 1st. 100% bonus to world experience, a 25% bonus reward track progress, and 50% bonus to magic find. All right, that's lovely. That's some of that spirit shard action. Yeah, you'll have to choose between your guilds. Right? You're gonna have to make that choice. At the conclusion of the beta event on October 1st, the World vs. World linking system will be re-enabled, and WvW will return to its current state. For example, if you were on Gandara before, you'll just go back to Gandara, and so on and so forth. Depending on how well the first beta event goes, we may choose to run additional tests without significant changes to the feature. Each matchmaking event provides our team with incredibly valuable data for tuning the matchmaking system. Now, World Restructuring Phase 2. The next planned addition to the restructuring will be Alliance functionality. This will allow multiple guilds to group together for the purpose of matchmaking. Each team can include multiple alliances. Our current plan is to limit alliances to a total of 500 players. This is not new. This is pretty old information. We already know that this was their idea. The same maximum size of a single guild. We're trying to strike a balance between allowing existing player communities to be able to stick together while preventing the creation of juggernaut alliances. And this was a discussion. Some people were like, why not 1,000? Because currently a guild compromises of 500 players. So why wouldn't you just increase the capacity to 1,000? My response to that would be, first of all, 1,000 players, there's not going to be enough players to really go around for alliances. So 500 is a better number to start with. And second, you don't want to create this idea of juggernaut alliances. So that number is a very solid number to begin with. Now, this number is flexible and will be finalized based on what we see during the beta event. So this might not even be the final number, but it could be the start at least. The timeline for delivering alliance functionality largely depends on how well phase 1 goes. Like they said, they will, implement multiple tests should they need more tests to go through. So we don't know exactly when phase 2 can even happen. If we identify a large number of bugs or core system issues, we'll need to focus on solving those first, and that's absolutely fine. More artwork. Ooh, more pictures. Love to see it. Grouch was actually talking about how he needed to add more pictures to this presentation. Anyway, beta development. We're approaching the development of World Restructuring differently than what you've seen from us in the past. Our intention is to release the smallest functional versions of the feature onto the live servers. Beta test it for a limited time and then use your feedback to improve future iterations of the feature. We'll rinse and repeat until we've landed on a satisfactory implementation and then polish the feature, remove the beta tag, and fully release it. The reasoning behind this approach is straightforward. WvW is a complicated game mode, and that's played in numerous ways. Some players enjoy fights, some enjoy taking objectives, and some enjoy running away from fights. I like that. Yep. Experiences can vary even very widely between shards. We're looking at you, Maguma. Yes, the Mag Cloud. The Maguma Cloud below. Yep. Finding the best solution for population balance that considers these different differing playstyles is a challenging proposition and not something that we can do without your input. So we need feedback from our players to help narrow it down on the right design. We'll be looking at both hard data and the conversation into the community to determine the feature's future. Which there is, by the way. There's been a lot of conversation in the WvW Discord already. There's been a lot of general game discussion about it. So that's already a great way to develop that. And this has been going on for years as well. And currently now even more active than ever. And I guess they also take forums into account. And I believe they've been going into WvW streamers as well, which is good. They're engaging the community, which is important. And of course, you can't beat numbers, right? The numbers don't lie at the end of the day. So I think this will definitely, a couple phases is what it'll take for us to actually understand how much will it take to, you know, work out the perfect version of this new feature. So this approach comes with some trade-offs. For one, the initial implementation of world restructuring will have a limited feature set. You might immediately identify some features that would be nice to have. That's great. That's what you're thinking and why you want it. This is exactly the reason we're doing this. We want to build the things that our players want and not waste time on things they don't. The second trade-off is that the front end of the system will be a little rough. Using programmer art, as we call it, we're going to hold off on final art and user experience polish until we've actually locked down the design of the feature. In other words, we're going to focus on making sure the system solves the problem before we make it look nice. And I like that. I know some people will be like, well, you could also make it look nice so it's easier access, but you know, let them work on getting the system working and then making the front end of it look nice. I love to see that. We'll be monitoring and participating in dedicated feedback threads on the official Guild Wars 2 forums for each beta event. That's the best place to have your voice heard, whether you're a solo player, guild leader, or a pugmander. We'll also keep you up to date with our latest observations and decisions regarding world restructuring via regular updates on the Guild Wars 2 blog. Looking to the future. Ah yes, everything's towards the future of this game. World vs. World is an experience unlike any other. An epic combination of battles on a massive scale, competition, community, and of course rivalry. Yes, I want this. I want more of this rivalry, right? Give me alliance tournaments. It scratches an itch that many of us have had since the earliest days of realm vs. realm gameplay in PC gaming. WvW as it is today is good, but it could be great. As we stated in the 2nd of July studio update blog, our leadership team views WvW as a cornerstone game mode of the Guild Wars 2, and we intend to support it as such. And we say this while acknowledging that in the past, WvW players haven't consistently received the support or attention they deserve. You know, I like that they at least this here mentioning that they acknowledge that yes, WvW has not always received its consistent support. So I like that they acknowledge this, right? They're not just saying it's a cornerstone. I know a lot of people memed on Grouch when he said it's a cornerstone game mode of Guild Wars 2, and they were like, ah, yeah, that definitely doesn't show in the past. So I like that they actually acknowledge this here and let you know that yes, they know your voice has been heard. And so I can't wait to see the action that they go with this. All right, so let's talk about the future plans and priorities as we know them today, largely informed by your feedback and our own assessment of the mode. These priorities are subject to change as we continue to listen, observe, and learn. If they do change, we'll let you know. Player population balance is a critical component of any competitive game or game mode, and imbalances can have a marked negative impact on gameplay to the extent that the experience just no longer reflects the design intent. As such, world restructuring is going to remain our top priority until we feel that it's been satisfactorily addressed. This will remain our focus throughout the release of End of Dragons. After world restructuring, we'll be looking to make WvW more rewarding with a focus on active play. There's two major parts from this. First, we'll be looking at improving individual rewards for participation and performance. This will be a mix of adding new rewards and improving the older systems. As an example, we'd like to address how support players are under-rewarded. Skirmish tracks also takes support players. Okay, so this is identifying how so for example, support players usually don't get as much bags because they don't get to tag as much mobs. So sometimes a support player Doesn't get you as many bags as you'd want, because you don't end up tagging every single player, whereas a frontline player gets everything handed to them. This is like what they're kind of addressing here. All right, so skirmish tracks also take longer to progress than we'd like, especially for new players. Second, we want to give players and guilds reasons to care about winning their current matchup and reward them for exceptional performance during a season. Longer term, we'd also like to introduce systems that allow guilds to flex and compare their WW progress. All of this, all right? This is what I like to see. You can never go wrong with giving something for players to have a rivalry, something to strive towards, push the competition, a reason for players to flex and be like, yeah, this is why we're winning. And this is exactly what I like to see. I'm all for that. All right, so once both population balance and rewards are addressed, our theory is that WW gameplay may see a significant shift. Players tend to naturally optimize their gameplay towards the goal, and with that comes new strategy and meta. At that point, we intend to look very hard at core WW systems, upgrades, scoring, siege, etc., and balance them to ensure that WW experience is still reflecting our vision. No system is safe from iteration. I like that. They're looking at, you're talking about a fundamental foundational look at an overview of your current systems, whether that's upgrades, the scoring, the siege, everything is getting a rework, and I like to see that. Everything described above is aimed at addressing foundational issues affecting the WW experience. Our priorities beyond this point are highly flexible and will undoubtedly be influenced by the community and needs of the game mode. So expect more communications just like this one down the road. Before we wrap up this section, we want to mention that we understand how important profession balance is for WW gameplay. And to address this after the expansion releases, we'll be dedicating design resources to overseeing profession balance for the live game in a full-time capacity, supporting all three game modes, PvE, PvP, and WW. Ooh, this is big. A full-time capacity. That means more updates down the line for balance issues. This will allow us to deliver balance updates on a much more consistent cadence. Wrapping up, look at that, getting that tower. So wrapping up, that's it for today. If you have any questions or feedback regarding WvW restructuring or our overall priorities for WvW, please drop us a note on the official forums. Arena staff Raymond, Luke's lead gameplay engineer, and Josh Grouch Davis, head of live operations, will join Arena partners Mighty Teapot and Roy on September 16th at noon Pacific on Twitch for a live discussion regarding world restructuring and the future of WvW. So we'll look to address as many of your questions as we can. Big announcement right here. Thank you for reading. We're incredibly excited to finally bring world restructuring to life, and we're looking forward to building WvW into the experience that we all know it can be. So September 16th, that's Thursday. That's next Thursday. That is going to be huge. Is that going to be on Guild Wars 2's channel, or they might as well just put it on Teapot's channel? That is huge stuff. All right, this is a lot to digest, but that is it. That is the gist of it. That took me 20 minutes to read. And man, hitting me patch knows I prefer this. All right, well, that's huge. So we'll have all of that. So the TLDR on all of this, September 21st, make sure to log in and declare which guild you're going to want to represent for the beta. And then reset at 24th of September will mark the Alliance update. And then you'll have all the way up to October 1st. So that's for the first phase. Phase 2, which is the actual Alliance functionality, will only take place a little later after a couple phases of phase 1. So they'll basically use phase 1 as a way to see how well they need to balance it before they introduce the Alliance functionality. Make sure you log in September 21st so you can play with your guild at least. So log in September 21st, pick the guild you want to play with, log in September 24th, and enjoy the WvW long phase 1 beta test. And that will happen all the way to October 1st with some bonuses added. It's a pretty big change up in here. I love to see it. All right, and then after that, before you do any of that, September 16th